Well, there might be a crack coming in the MAGA base, hopefully. Tucker Carlson has made a stunning admission about Trump and his dealings in the Middle East, which I think shows a big crack in the MAGA base, at least in one of the top pundits of the MAGA base, anyway. Well, okay, it's not a big crack, it's a small crack. And I'm sure if you asked Tucker about it, he would say, oh, no, man, I'm still on board. No problem, no problem. But there are obviously some problems here. He says this so quietly, though, almost under his breath, that you might think it was no big deal to him or that he was just coming to terms with it and found it hard to admit. I don't know. But I think the fact that he says it at all shows it's a huge deal because not only is it something he's been thinking, but now he said it publicly on his show to his audience. That's huge. That makes it huge. And I think probably in his private moments, he's having a lot of doubts about Trump. In fact, if you go by the text messages that he sent after the 2016 election between Sean Hannity and all the people at Fox News, where he basically said, I hate Trump, this guy's crazy. He lost the election. He said that in his private text. Then he went on the air and said, no, he won the election. But what did he admit in public a couple of days ago? Well, let's take a listen. The person talking on this video first is a man named Steve Ryan. He's a former Navy SEAL and a huge MAGA supporter and a huge Trump supporter. In fact, he says he believes almost everything Trump says every day. Like every day when Trump speaks, he believes almost everything he says. So let's listen to Sean and see what he has to say and see how Tucker responds at the very end. It's very interesting. Let's take a listen.
I see all these negotiations going on in the Middle East, and then I don't know when these buildings were approved or when these deals got done, but then I also see like, oh, there's a brand new hotel going up in Dubai or Abu Dhabi and another one going up in Doha, I think. And I'm like, did these like just get done also with the deals that just happened over there? Or was this earlier? You would probably know.
No, I don't know.
You don't?
I've not made $1 in the Middle East, not one.
Well, I mean, you're a lot more on the inside than I am. And
no. I'm just a visitor and a traveler and a watcher. But I don't, there's
that stuff kind of worries me. It's
well, it seems like corruption. Yeah.
Wow, that's it. It seems like corruption. It seems like corruption. That's right, Tucker. That's right, Sean. Good job, guys. I guess the surprise isn't that he thinks this, but really the surprise is that he actually said it on his show. That's the surprise here. I mean, that makes it big. This is like this Middle East stuff is getting so bad in his mind. And I think he realizes it's bad in the minds of a lot of people that he's now letting it spill over into his public appearances, which is highly unusual for him. He rarely does this. I don't know if he's ever done that, actually. But can you imagine how both of these guys would be railing if this were Biden or Harris or Hillary or Obama? But with their man, it's like, I don't know. Seems like something's a little fishy here. Something's a little bit off, but I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. So the thing is, when it's your guy, it's hard to see this stuff. It's hard to see it. Most people never see it when it's their guy. And when you're in a cult, the people who stay in the cults, most of them never see it. They never even see it, much less let it slip out of their tongues. It's hard. When you're in a cult followers, they never criticize the leader. Even if they do see it, they never let their criticism become public because they know they'll be ostracized by their community. But for him to say this on his show, I think is pretty, I don't know, it's pretty something. It's pretty revealing, or I don't know, maybe it's an opening, maybe it's a real crack. I really hope it's a real crack. But I want to go back for a minute and check out this guy, Ryan, as he speaks, because it's kind of interesting to hear him talk in the way this stuff is starting to get into his mind. And I think what you're seeing here is the opening cracks, the opening of insight. I think like a little light starting to seep in. And, he's starting to see a little bit of what's going on. Let's watch this again.
Negotiations going on in the Middle East. And then I don't know when these buildings were approved or when these deals got done, but then I also see like, oh, there's a brand new hotel going up in Dubai or Abu Dhabi and another one going up in Doha, I think. And I'm like, did these like just get done also with the deals that just happened over there? Or was this earlier? You would probably know.
Yeah, well, Tucker says he doesn't know anything about it, but he seems to actually be struggling with this a little bit, don't you think? I mean, of course, if it were Biden or Obama or anybody else, if it was any Democrat, there would be no struggle at all. But when it's your guy, it's just harder to admit or even allow yourself to believe that he could be doing something wrong. So I think it's a great sign that he's even contemplating the thought or the possibility that Trump could be doing something wrong. I don't know how attached he is to MAGA or if he makes his living from MAGA. I don't know if he's a hot public personality in the MAGA world or not. So, depending on how attached he is, if he's really attached to him, it can make it harder for him to, expand upon this further in the future. But if he's not that attached to them, if he has kind of an independent life, he could start, talking a little more about this. Tucker's very attached to MAGA. His whole livelihood is depends on it. So I really don't expect to see him come out much more and say too much about it. But just the fact he said it, I hope it will give people, some of their followers, the leeway, the opening to say, yeah, we should start to question this stuff. And when that happens, then that could be really good news. How these guys couldn't see this before, or if they did, maybe they saw it all before and just never said it publicly. But now that they're saying it publicly, I'll say if they couldn't see it before, I have no idea. Because all the rest of us know it's like giant floodlights shining on corruption when the president walks out of the White House. It's so obvious. So how they don't see it or didn't see it, or if they did see it and wouldn't admit it, then they're just being dishonest with themselves and everybody. But I'm just glad that, to see this opening, to see that they're starting to talk a little bit and maybe their minds are being opened a little bit more to the possibility that there could be something, let's start small, a little off about this guy. Let's get them to that point, and then maybe we can get them to the next point after that. Well, the bottom line is the more people who can open their minds, even a little bit, to what's so obvious to the rest of us, the better off we'll be. Because every little admission, every little crack, every little glimmer of truth that gets through takes away a little bit of support for the president and for the whole MAGA movement. And the fact that these two guys would say this in front of their listeners, I think means it really gives permission to their listeners to start having these doubts as well. So yeah, maybe it's just a flicker of doubt right now. Maybe it's just a passing moment of honesty from Tucker and Ryan. But flickers can turn into flames. And when the cracks start forming at the top, it doesn't take long before the whole thing can start to crumble. This isn't just about one moment or one quote. It's about a shift, however small, in the MAGA echo chamber. If Tucker Carlson, of all people, is starting to squirm a little bit in Trump's shadow, that's not nothing. That could be the beginning of a reckoning. And maybe he's going public with it because he realizes his listeners, his viewers, are squirming too. And he wants to just get it out there that, yeah, you guys are sensing something that's real. But, here's the truth. Once someone starts to admit that their hero has flaws, and if some of his viewers and the people in his audience, if this gives them the permission to start doing that, once they start, they've already taken the first step away from the cult. And the more people who do that, the less powerful Trump becomes. So let's hope this little crack becomes a fracture and then breaks wide open, hopefully. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.